Cameras are rolling.
Jon Scheyer and Turek.
Joe, so great to be with you. This is an exciting chance to talk about leadership with you, to talk about teamwork, but also to talk about friendship.
Yeah, there's so many parallels between what we do and how a team effectively works.
I don't know if people would ever think about a basketball coach and a heart doctor becoming, close friends and meeting each other. We met about 7-8 years ago at this time, right?
Yep.
And for me, that was before I became head coach. That was as you were building, this amazing, heart program that we have. And
we hadn't arrived yet.
No, we had not arrived. And we still would never arrive.
You never do arrive. We're doing better.
No, we definitely, we definitely were on a different path there. And to see the trajectory has been such a fun thing. And, send you articles that pop up with you guys and vice versa, the support. So thank you for the support.
Yeah. As our friendship kind of grew, we realized, I think, that we had more in common than we ever really imagined.
Part of that is building a world-class team.
Mm-hmm. When you think about pediatric heart surgery, and you know this, it takes a lot of people performing at a very high level to be able to have the outcomes you want to have. And we've had the best outcomes in America for several years now in pediatric heart surgery. You saw kind of a snapshot of that in the operating room, and you brought your coaches by. And I'd be interested in kind of hearing from you what were some of the takeaways that you had when you were able to come and watch us and watch our operation team in action.
Well, you know what? That was an amazing experience for us. And in coaching, you're making real-time decisions with imperfect information.
All right.
And so the ability to trust each other, in the heat of a moment. And then the second thing of making sure everybody understands their voice is important.
Yeah.
And so if there's something that needs to be said or where everybody is comfortable doing that, and that's something that I've really carried with me to understand. I don't care who you are on the team as a player, anybody on the staff. If you have something that needs to be said, you have to go ahead and say it.
Everyone has a voice. We call it a culture of safety. And when you're dealing with someone's life in the operating room and you saw there were about 12 people in the operating room all doing different roles, it's amazing how important it is to have one person who's not doing a certain piece of the operation speak up when they see something that they think is a problem. You saw we have a fairly relaxed environment in there, and I think part of that is in order to make sure that people are comfortable with what they're doing. I think a lot of people perform best when they're at ease and they're relaxed, and so we try to create that environment. When I've watched your team and I've watched you in action with coaching, a lot of these similar themes come out.
We talk a lot with our guys about controlling what you can control.
Yeah. And it's true. It's true in the operating room as well. We can control 98% of what we do. And you go out there and you compete on the court, and we compete in the operating room. I mean, that's a competition. I'm trying to, repair this heart, and I look at it as a competition.
Right.
And I can control 98% of that with preparation, multiple levels of preparation with different team members. And then there's that 2%. And the 2% is something that, you don't necessarily control that, but with experience and with repetition and with routine, you're able to handle that 2% as well.
We do talk about the 98%, which is your effort and attitude.
Yeah.
It's about doing the details, which, that was the thing for me watching you guys. All right, the details is there.
Yeah.
Everything you do, you talk about the quarter of a centimeter, whatever, however you would say it, better than I would. That's the thing that stood out to me.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've admired is not just, what you've done professionally, but part of that is building a world-class team. Mm-hmm. What's one lesson or a pillar for you in terms of building a world-class team with something you feel is, incredibly important from your perspective?
I think the secret of team building is, number one, you have to have great people. You're not going to have a great team if you don't have great people. If you're not recruiting good players, you're not going to have a great team, and you know that. But then you have to figure out how you find the best in those people, and you develop that. You saw there were about 12 people in the operating room all doing different roles. When I work with my teams, I can't do the anesthesia. And you don't want me doing the anesthesia. I can't do the anesthesia. I can't run the heart-lung machine like the perfusionist does. What you have to do is you have to find people that are good, empower them, and let them go, because they're going to do a better job than you're ever going to do. So I think that's been I think my superpower of anything is that I can see that in people. I can see what makes them great, and I can help them be greater. And I think you'd be surprised about this, but I thought this was a good opportunity to tell you. The thing about you that I probably admire most is your compassion. And I don't think it's something that people bring up in leadership circles that much. But what it means is that you care and it's authentic, right? And I think any great leader has to have that compassion. And it's not just something I'm saying. I mean, I've witnessed it many times. I've called you and said, hey, I've got this kid I just operated on, big surgery. He'd love to see you. He's getting discharged from the hospital. I mean, you were at a home game that you were going to prepare for. You came by and saw him. People see that. And that is, leadership quality that any great leader has to have. And you have it.
Well, that means a lot. And, those visits for me, when I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to get a call from you or anybody at the hospital, for me, it's an honor. And end of the day, to meet these kids who have going through a really tough time, and I see their attitude, I see their perseverance. It's always puts things in perspective. But for me, I feel lucky to have the opportunity to do that. And again, this is the nicest stuff we've ever said about each other.
Yeah, we don't know. This doesn't normally happen. Yeah.
but I admire the fact. I mean, look, you dedicate your life to saving children's lives. I mean, so for me, visiting with Paulo and Mark that day for 45 minutes or an hour, whatever it was, like are you kidding me? Like it's an honor. Like that's a privilege. Yeah. But I appreciate your words. I think it's a really good strength of mine to feel. Yeah. I've been in different positions as a player. Mm-hmm. I've come off the bench. I've started. I've been the leading scorer. So I think that's allowed me to have empathy for what others are going through. But it ultimately is a strength, and I hope I never lose that. If I do, I need people like you to keep me in check and let me know. But that's a big thing. Yeah.
And in the same way, if I'm able to lift up my team members and make my team members better and develop, the next surgeon. You met one of my junior surgeons. I mean, fantastic surgeon, and that's going to be an exponential thing as well. Is that mentorship, and you've seen it with Coach Hay.
Of course. When you see a game in Cameron, there's a full belief that we're going to find a way to win. Like even when we don't have it, have our best stuff that day. And to me, that's what makes this place special. Yeah.
I see the future, a bright future, in the young people that I have coming through, that the medical students and the residents and the fellows that we have, especially at a place like Duke, where they're just incredible. I have a lot of hope. I mean, the temporary situation with the times and the difficulties of where we are in academic medicine right now, I really don't have any concerns when I see, the kind of product that Duke is producing here.
100%. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
And, thank you to everyone at Duke for, their incredible support as well.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, John.
Thanks a lot, Joe.